Hello, and welcome to a presentation of seller's agent perspective of the transaction. We're going to go through the steps and give you a quick overview from the listing appointment all the way through closing. I'm Allyson Ray with eXp Realty, and we're happy to have you. All right, so you made the lead contact and now you're going to meet them for the listing appointment. Generally, this meeting will be at the property. Sometimes it's vacant land, so it's not necessary to go and meet someone in person. You may just swing by there yourself and take some photos, or they may not be local and they might give you a lockbox to get into it. Or a neighbor may have a key if they are out of state. So again, you're going to meet at the property often and then have a home tour and ask to take photos so that you can use those to go home and create a CMA. Make sure you're making connections with your customers. Most people love to talk about their homes, so let them talk and try to catch if they have military background, they have a certain sports team, their children love gymnastics or basketball. Just subtly keep a mental note of these things and try to find connections in your personal life that match with theirs, and you will start to build a genuine connection with them and they'll feel that. Try not to come over across as a salesman. Just an informal conversation can really go a long way. I know that my husband, Chris, started off where he would be in a suit and tie and feel like he just wasn't himself. Sometimes he will if it's a higher price point, but a lot of times the homeowners feel pressured and nervous and like they put up their guard if you come in with this presentation and you are trying to be too professional. So keep it casual. If that suits your style better, you can try both and see how you feel more comfortable. Overall, be yourself, because if you're trying to be something you're not and be fake, it will come across to your customers. So if you want to earn this listing, they may be going to interview other people after you. So if you want to earn this, just try to be yourself. So you're going to make connections as you tour their home. If you have listing documentation and a presentation, you could give that to them and go over it with them, or just leave it for them to look at and discuss at their leisure. And again, at the end, you're going to demonstrate your follow-up skills because you don't have to come into the property having an estimated list price, because you need to see it for yourself, the quality of condition, the materials and construction, just the overall feel of the home. And you can't see that unless you're there first. So offer to give them a follow-up CMA. All right. So they call you, they say, yes, we'd like to list with you as our agent. And now it's time to make the property active. Again, when you came initially with your presentation, some people prefer to come with their listing agreement and all of these documents. However, again, to make it less formal and overbearing, we like to often, and we have better success personally, when we don't give all this paperwork up front and we just do it electronically after we have earned the listing. So you're going to need the listing agreement that will go over the time frame they want to list it, and usually 6 months or so will be the end of it. If it doesn't sell by then, it could expire and you would need to sign another listing agreement, or they may choose another agent. So then your time frame, the availability of showings. Are they working from home Monday through Wednesday? They don't want any visitors. So you need to figure out when, or do they have kids at home 4 o'clock onward and they want only day showings? Find out when they will be allowing access to their property. If it's vacant, it's very easy because anytime that a super iBox will unlock will be great for you to go visit, or the buyer's agent visit. So commission, you don't need to give them a specific, but each state and area has a kind of a standard customary estimated amount. Discuss that with them. You might need to see what their payoff is and their bottom line, all of the numbers for what to list it at and what commission will be played into their bottom line to make sure they make a profit when they sell. So again, go over the list price, what property conveys. Maybe there's a tool shed in the back or a covered carport, the refrigerator, built-in microwave, just different things that they want to leave, the drapes and curtains, discuss that with them if they plan on taking those with them. If they're allowing all different types of financing. So all of that is discussed in the listing agreement. Next, the seller's property disclosure. Often we give them a few days to compile their list of things because it goes through what, what's the age of your AC, your roof, how many windows have screens, just on and on specifics that may take them a couple of days to round up those answers. So we usually pick up their seller's property disclosure on the day that we go active, and we'll get to that. So again, we give them a few days for that. And if they aren't in the property, they can choose to fill out the non-occupancy disclosure. Next, we have the wire fraud notice. This does not have to be done initially. It can be done later in the process. Just make sure that it is filled out to let them know scammers like to try to target homeowners in the process of selling, and they may email them fraudulent information saying, hey, why are your funds here? That's incorrect. So again, just go over that with them and have them sign that notice. You may have an HOA, CDD, or condo rider, depending on the situation. The lead-based paint addendum, that's only if it's prior to 1978. A lockbox addendum is something that we use in Florida, and it is not required in SkySlope. However, it is something helpful to have because you are making sure they sign for permission for you to install the lockbox that will open up their property to agents. So discuss the safety issue with that, but then they are agents who are going to be tracked with their showings. So it's not like random strangers will be entering their home. Someone will be escorting the buyers through, and you also have their agent information. So next, you would want to ask for a copy of the property land survey if they have one. Otherwise, a new one will have to be paid for and ordered before closing. This doesn't apply to condos. And other documents, there will be others depending on your state, but energy proficiency documents, if new appliances, solar panels, anything like that, that benefits the new buyers, you may want to disclose those things. So staging your home for a professional photographer and showings, this is important to have a conversation with the sellers. Many people are downsizing and they've accumulated years of material in their house, and it may be hard for them to declutter. But you need to explain it to them that it's not a personal attack on their property, but it's so that buyers can truly see themselves in the home and it feels larger with less items in it. So suggest renting a storage unit just for the few months that you are going to be having showings. People suggest 85% or so of items should be removed. If you ever have a buyer going through, they're going to open your closets, drawers, cabinets, everything. So if you have it barely filled or half filled or empty, it just looks so much more spacious. Depersonalizing is something that sellers need to do. They should remove religious decorations, family photos, sports memorabilia, take pictures off the refrigerator, names in the bedrooms, anything that is specific to the family. Because again, the buyer would love a clean slate to help them visualize how it could look and be their home. If there's too much personalization, it will lead your buyers that are visiting to rush through the home, not lingering or dreaming about it. They feel like they're intruding on someone else's home because it's just so full of their things, they can't imagine themselves in it. Another thing they need to do is deodorize. look around and memories are attached to scent. So you need to make sure that they leave a good impression with how the atmosphere and the feel of the home is when they enter. Should have a fresh scent. Often carpets, linens, drapes, curtains, they can have a lingering odor. So even when the sellers will be cleaning, they need to double check that they've cleaned or replaced those different items that trap odors. Animals should also be cleaned up in their areas often. Use plugins or essential oils and diffusers, anything that the seller wants to help create this, with maybe baked goods scent or clean lemon scent. Okay, so you've prepped them for showings and the photographer. It's very important. And now it's photography day. Go ahead and meet that photographer, introduce him or her to the sellers. Photographers nowadays can really make a difference in your listings online rather than using cell phone footage. Again, if it's a property that is smaller, less of a price point and run down, you do not have to invest in the professional photographer. But for a medium to upscale home, it does make a big difference on the lighting and angling. And they can do Matterport and drone footage inside and outside of the home and above for aerial views. It's quite remarkable, the 3D virtual tours that they can create for you. This actually helps get out of state or out of town buyers because they can truly walk through the property without being there. So you're going to meet the photographer. You may be assisting them if the seller didn't do a great job with furniture. You can help shift furniture or clutter around from one room, move it to the next room, take a photo, move it back if you have to. So after the photos and drone work are completed, you should install a lockbox and obtain the keys from a seller. Then install your yard sign. Make sure it's good visibility from the road. Ensure the lockbox and sign aren't seen in the photos because most MLS have restrictions on showing your personal sign in the MLS listing photos. You can get in big trouble with your local board if you do that. And again, the Marketing Center offers very good templates so you know what should be on your signs. Okay, so now now that you have the photographer, they will take a day or two to get the photos and they'll give them back to you with all the editing. So make the listing go active or live by creating a new listing on your local MLS website. Take those professional photographs and the detailed description of a property. Make sure that you can be using the different senses to truly help them see, discuss if there are upgraded appliances, the kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, all of those things. And then make sure you take a PDF printout or a screenshot that shows active MLS listing that you need for SkySlope. Your local MLS should post this listing on multiple websites. You can also use KV Core to send them out to other websites like Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace. Go ahead and get on your social media and announce your new listing, and hopefully you have friends that are other realtors you can share, and maybe they have a buyer already. You can make that quick connection. Then after you've made the listing go active on MLS, you also need to start, and it doesn't have to be that day, it could even be a week later, depends on how busy you are, but you need to go ahead and make your SkySlope listing file and upload the documents. If you didn't get everything signed, go ahead and utilize DigiSign and electronically sign all of your paperwork, have your seller sign. Showings, let's discuss some more expectations to your sellers. Discuss creating their animals during showings, or if it's cats or ferrets, something, go ahead and put them in a small closet or room, or take them with you for a car ride if you have to for the sellers. the less animals there, it will help them see every room. You don't want to really corner off a bedroom because they need to see it for themselves to see if that would work for their family. So you can take your dogs to the park or something. It can be hard, but in today's seller's market, you probably won't have too many showings that this has to happen for. So, and then some people might have allergies or be afraid of dogs or other animals. So just having them safely out of the way from these strangers entering the home would be safer. Discuss what advance notice window will be required before showings occur. Most people want a 2-hour window or more if they have to put up animals and move their office supplies or tidy up the house if they have small children. So make sure you find that out and then specify that in the listing. I would also strongly advise you to tell your sellers that they need to leave the home during showings. We have had feedback from agents saying your sellers were there giving us a guided tour and it was very awkward. Please have them leave next time. Or they'll sit outside in their patio. It still is very, very awkward for the buyers. They want to have the freedom to speak their mind without having to pretend that everything is nice. And they really need to discuss it in privacy. So tell the sellers they need to leave the home during showings. All right, showings. Through MLS, you'll receive notifications to confirm a requested showing. It might pop up on your phone if you have it set to receive a text. You could do C for confirm that quickly, and then that's it. Or they might call you up, or it might be in your email. Go ahead and call your sellers, confirm that that day and time is acceptable, and then confirm the showing on MLS or directly with the agent. Now, the buyer's agent will open the lockbox and allow the buyers inside. If it's a Supra, you need to, or another electronic box, you need to specify that in the listing or when they're confirming. And if it's a combination lockbox, give them that combo at the time so they can access the property. You do not need to attend showings as the listing agent unless you are the one bringing a buyer. So your seller and you are not part of this. This is the buyer's agent and the buyers. Unless your seller, I have to specify that, there have been some homes that require the showing assist. So you are, as the seller's agent, supposed to be there too. If people have very valuable things or they just don't feel comfortable, occasionally we've been asked to be present at every single showing. That can be hard, but just find that out from your seller if that's a requirement to be there as well. So after they've had the showing later that day, you can have this automated or do it yourself. Go ahead and reach out to that buyer's agent who had the showing and request some feedback on the home, good or bad, positive or negative. There are forms that can be filled out that they need to tell you so you can pass that information on with great customer service. And if it smelled strange or it's too cluttered or they love the pool, whatever the issue may be, good or bad, go ahead and get that information so that the next showings can be even better. See the bottom here, a caveat, please ensure you or the seller has spare keys. Now, buyer's agents may be going from home to home, back to back to back. Occasionally, like anybody, they may make a mistake and misplace your keys. We have had listings where an agent calls up asking, where are the keys? I'm looking in the lockbox, it's not here. So then we go and look, well, who just had the last listing? Call them up, they check their key, their pockets. Oh my gosh, I left it, I'm so sorry. We're at the next house, or it was earlier that day. Let me bring it back to you. So it really helps to have spare keys so that you can quickly go get, or if it's just lost, you need to have access to the property. And you can go, he's back in the lockbox. Also, there are little tags you can buy at the store that you could label the keys with that property address in case it goes into the wrong home or something. You can retrace your steps, get it back where it belongs. All right, you had your showings and we get an offer. Oh boy, negotiating offers. Here you will have some people offer list price, some will offer below, and some will offer above, depending on the market conditions. and where you listed the property. It is considered a seller's market if the number of available homes is very low, and we call that inventory. So if inventory is low, there aren't many homes out there. When you search on MLS, the buyer's agent is scrambling trying to find one, and the demand is very high. There are lots of buyers and only a few homes. This results in higher offers for your sellers. That's what we're in currently right now in 2021. It's a seller's market. Over list price offers, multiple offers, and seller's agent must call for highest and best offers by a deadline for all parties submitting offers. The other type of market situation is the buyer's market, and that's when there are a number of available homes. It's very high inventory, and buyers, the demand is lower. The buyers can ask for a lower price, home warranties, closing costs, and prepaid assistance to be paid by sellers, and the buyers have more power in this situation. But again, we have the condition where it's a seller's market currently, as I'm recording this. If you do have the situation, sometimes you will have a home that you've listed, put it on MLS. Within the first weekend, you will have multiple showings. We've had people with 30 showings in the course of a couple of days. And then we get to start getting offers, and we can say, okay, we listed it on Thursday, we start getting offers, and announce to all of those offers, we are having multiple offer situation. So we have decided to go to highest and best by 5:00 p.m. on Monday. So if they initially ask for closing cost or a home warranty, they may want to take those off the offer to make the highest and best possible offer for their buyer. It just depends on their individual finances and situation. So everyone gives their best. You sit down with the seller, look through after this deadline, the highest and best offers presented from each party. There is a spreadsheet that you can use or create an Excel sheet yourself that goes over all of the stipulations, the contingencies. Do they have to sell a house or not? The binder or the earnest money, how much are they going to be putting down, and all the other specifics that will differentiate the two. Now, the sellers will choose one, and they can take backup offers in case the first offer's financing falls through or there's some other issue. Go ahead and inform all offers if their offer was accepted or not, or if it will be considered as a backup offer. That's if the buyer chooses. The buyer may go on to other houses. Okay, now let's talk about helping your sellers understand the contract timeline and responsibilities. Sellers typically select a closing agency, attorney, or title company. And you can offer suggestions. If they don't have one in mind, you may have a preferred title or attorney that you always use for your closings, but sellers typically choose this. They are still responsible during the whole process of showings and contract timeline, that they have to continue to maintain their yard if they're nearby and they haven't vacated, their pool, pay their mortgage, and they need to keep the water and electricity on until closing day. There have been times we have had calls from inspectors or appraisers saying, what's going on? I can't check things because the power's out. And the sellers thought that since it was basically over, the contract was going on, okay, I think I'll just turn all that off. Yeah, not yet. It's still your home, and we need to have access to it with water and electric to test everything out. So the binder and the earnest money deposit that's due from the buyer goes to a third party, the closing agency, a brokerage, someone else, not individual agents, and not to them. They think that it's to them sometimes, so clarify that for them. The inspection period, go ahead and explain that, and that they have to allow an inspector inside their property for inspection. Sometimes we've had sellers be very difficult and they don't want to let people in. They have to understand this is part of the process. Now, depending on the contract, they'll have about 3 days or so to sign a repair and replace agreement and then complete that work by closing date. They don't have to complete the requested repairs within the 10-day or 15-day contingency period. They actually just have to do it by closing. And it's going to take a few days for your sellers, if there's a long list of things, what they choose to honor and actually fill or fix, but they need to have the time to compare prices, get quotes, figure out the handymen who are going to be coming, and when they can complete projects. So give them a few days. Allow the appraiser to enter inside the property to perform an appraisal. The sellers also have to make arrangements to have all furniture and trash removed from the property by the final walkthrough for buyers, which is usually within 24 hours of closing. The sellers should also ensure that all liens or permits are paid and closed out. There could be roofing issues or someone that didn't get paid or it's not showing paid, but that is something that a closing agency will be double checking to look for title, liens, clouds on the title. So that's something that sellers may not know is going on, but they'll be notified and then they need to take care of it. Okay, closing day. This is the transfer of funds, ownership, and title. You need to see if the buyer's agent can bring your lockbox and sign from property when they go through the final walkthrough. The sellers should attend closing and they have less to sign than their buyers. So it could be a quick 10-minute process and they can move on with their day. It is not always customary for the sellers and buyers and the agents to be sitting with the closing agency all together at the table. Often it's staggered. One party may come in earlier in the morning and then a couple hours later, the other party comes in to sign. Also, we have remote closings. So some people may have a notary come out if the closing agency offers this somewhere. If your sellers are moving out of state or the buyers are still out of state or out of area, they may do a closing separately. So you need to ensure that the CDA, the commission disbursement authorization from EXP in your SkySlope file, make sure that's sent to the closing agency a couple days before closing. They can automatically send it, and they usually do, but I would just contact the closing agency before closing to double check that they got that so they know how to cut your commission check. The closing dates can get pushed back often. You need to help your sellers to stay calm and a couple weeks beforehand anticipate this through good communication with all parties to see if this closing date is going to stick. Because you have lender, title, repair work on the home, all of these things must intertwine their schedules, and sometimes one party might get behind. So it can just be from a Friday closing to a Monday or Tuesday until the work's done. So that being said, on a couple slides from now, but be careful if you are helping them with the buy side, because if this closing date gets pushed back, they won't have the funds from selling their home to go buy the next home. So you need to make sure you are scheduling it appropriately and considering the closing dates can get moved around. So go ahead after closing, you're going to upload your EXP check, your agent check with your name on it, and the final settlement statement called an Alta statement into SkySlope. So go ahead and make copies of those, put them into SkySlope after closing, and make sure that the final statement is fully executed with the buyer and seller signatures. And I say that because if one of those parties isn't present, make sure you get the printed copy with those signatures if they did it at another time or location. Congratulations, you just earned a commission check for listing a home, and then you helped your sellers close their property and move on with their life. Congratulations. Here are some final thoughts. Make sure you put aside money for taxes because you get paid on a commission basis, and then you may owe taxes at the end of the year. So discuss this with a CPA or your preferred tax assistant, and then just make sure that it's not a big surprise. And some people pay quarterly or put aside quarterly their money. Consider allowing 5% of each check to go automatically into EXP Agent Equity Program, because this will add up and you won't miss it if it's automated. If you're helping the sellers buy as well, you don't have the closings back to back, because too many people will end up between homes for a week or so if they schedule these closings too close, like I mentioned earlier, and one gets pushed back. Another thing after closing is to make sure you follow up. Always keep in touch with your customers. They will refer you business from their friends and family, and then they will be moving again one day. So make sure you're in the forefront of their mind and they'll use you again. That being said, if you developed a great relationship, don't forget to ask for a review. Don't be bashful. Make sure you email them links to Zillow, Yelp, or other places that you can request reviews. People really like to feel helpful. So if you've done this work for them, then they love to help you out too. Tell them this is something you need for your business to keep it growing and thriving, to offer the best customer service possible. Congratulations, and I hope that this was very helpful. Good luck being a wonderful listing agent. Thank you.